So hey guys, thanks for taking a minute to check out this video. It's a little bit of a talk about Bitcoin from one of the world's richest men, Peter Thiel, who is a venture capitalist, former co-founder of PayPal, which he sold for hundreds of millions of dollars. I wanted to use this kind of clip to talk about what's happening in terms of the three phases of market trends. First phase is like nerds all get together and they discover something and they start fooling around with it. And the second phase is that, you know, business owners, venture capitalists, people with the real big wads of cash, Wall Street, they get involved and they make it mainstream. And then once the mainstream hits it, that's when it goes through the roof. And obviously, if you get in at that point, it's a little bit late in the game to start investing in something once everybody knows about it. So we're still in that middle phase. And I just wanted to make this video to kind of highlight some of the news that I come across each and every single day. I have a YouTube playlist with over 50 plus videos talking about Bitcoin in this space and where it's headed, with some analysis. And I would love to share that with you if you decide to kind of join me, join my team, and join a group of people who are going to be constantly learning every day how the space is evolving and how we could make our lives different. Albert Einstein once said, one of the greatest inventions man ever made was compound interest, and just understanding how that works. With the types of returns you can get with Bitcoin, you can definitely take advantage of compound interest. Now, definitely, I'd say never invest anything that you can't afford to lose, but there are ways to actually earn Bitcoin and cost zero, absolutely nothing to join, zero cost to join. So if you're looking to make some extra money, if you're looking to figure out this Bitcoin space and how you can, you know, receive Bitcoin for your services. If you're a handyman, if you're a musician, if you're a comedian, if you're a dentist, any business can accept it right now. There are businesses in place like BitPay, for example, that will allow you to receive Bitcoin and instantly turn it into whatever fiat money that you take part in. You can also set percentages, so you can have 10% go to stay in Bitcoin and the other 90% go to US dollar if that was the case. So there are ways around it, and I try to keep myself abreast of the space, and I can point you to a lot of resources. So if you're interested in learning more about how to change your life and get some really true financial freedom utilizing this amazing technology called Bitcoin, which was made for the people by the people, check out this video, get back to me. There's a number of ways at the end. Check out the description box, subscribe to my channel, tune in. Thanks.
Really successful in terms of watching where the growth is in the world and identifying the companies that are, you know, solving important problems. What excites you right now? What can you look at in the world today that you feel like, wow, that is a good idea, or that is really where the growth story is?
I'm always nervous about being excited about things, because that always feels too irrationally exuberant.
Don't get too excited about things because it's irrational. Continue.
And too emotional. And
like 1999.
Yeah, so I went through 99, so a lot of people were very excited, and that was dangerous. But if you ask, what are the things where there's...
By the way, Peter Thiel is the former co-founder of PayPal before they sold it for hundreds of millions of dollars. He is a Stanford graduate, former attorney, billionaire, and as you can see, he's a venture capitalist, so he invests in a lot of projects. And typically venture capitalists only put money in spaces where they can make 10x or 40x what they invest in. Continue.
What's very charismatic and that people are not paying enough attention to, I think there are these pockets in biotech that I find like that. You know, the one other one that I've been looking at a lot more have been the cryptocurrencies, and while I'm skeptical of most of them.
You should be. Most of them aren't doing too well right now.
I do think people are a little bit are maybe underestimating Bitcoin.
Really? Says yet another billionaire. You guys know Mark Cuban says you should put 10% of your income. If you're, a person who's about that life, only invest what you're willing to risk, what you're willing to lose, rather. Interesting.
Specifically, because it's like a reserve form of money. It's like gold, and it's just a store of value. You don't actually need to use it to make payments. And it's been, it's there.
Now, you don't need to use it to make payments, but you can. There are countless websites that allow you to spend Bitcoin. I've got a Bitcoin Visa card right now. I don't know if you guys have heard of it. It's called Shift. And it's already making its way into the mainstream slowly, like an assassin.
About $70 billion worth of Bitcoin in the world.
So this was a little bit older. The valuation of Bitcoin now is over 100 plus $billion, which is more than the market share or the market cap for Goldman Sachs. But continue.
There's $9 trillion worth of gold, and if Bitcoin ends up being the cyber equivalent of gold, it has a great potential left.
So he said there's $1 trillion market in gold. If Bitcoin just captures 5% of that market, that puts Bitcoin between $25,000 and $30,000 per Bitcoin. We're at 7,400 now as of the 6th of November, Pacific Standard Time.
It's a very different kind of thing from what people in Silicon Valley normally focus on. Companies, not algorithms or protocols. But this may be one exception that's very underestimated.
Well, people question it, and I know there's been so much debate about Bitcoin, but they question it because what is it based on? I mean, you see that the dollar is based on, the trust of the Treasury, the trust of the U.S. government. What
is it based on? Work. Proof of work. When you can mine a coin and spend $1,000 worth of electricity and bring a coin into a system that is decentralized, meaning every computer in the system keeps track of the same ledger, that value, which mind you is of a limited quantity, a scarce quantity. We don't know how much gold exists in the world. We know some gold has been sold 2 and 3 times to multiple people because it can't be verified at times. But continue.
Bitcoin based on?
Well, the argument it's based on the security of the map, which tells you that it can never be diluted by a government. It can never be
diluted by government.
Can't be hacked.
Can't be hacked.
And it's a form of money that's absolutely that's secure in an absolute way.
Secure in an absolute way. Thank you, Peter. That's great. I know you risked a lot telling people this. He's like, man, I hope they don't come for my money now.
Of course, you could ask the same questions about gold. That's why I used the gold analogy. You could say, what is gold based on? Why is gold valuable?
Well, it's a tangible asset, though, gold.
It's a tangible asset, but it's also hard to mine. So if it was easy to mine gold, then it wouldn't be that valuable because we would just have way more.
When Bitcoin first started, you could mine it on your regular desktop, laptop computer. That was back in 2009, 2010, 2011. And then technology started to increase. The chip speeds would increase to the point that they made regular computing power obsolete. To put it into context, you would need about a little over $1 billion worth of computing power to trick the Bitcoin network and make one fake coin. But the problem with that is that you would have to spend that same amount of time and energy and resources every 10 minutes because the Bitcoin blockchain resets itself every 10 minutes and does a Byzantine math general problem where it goes back to the very beginning of all of the transactions and it calculates its way back up to the present time. So that's what makes it very, very secure.
Gold. So Bitcoin is also, it's mineable like gold. It's hard to mine. It's actually harder to mine than gold. And so in that sense, it's more constrained. And so, yeah, there are a number of things that I think make it somewhat similar to gold, and then the question is just, does this become more widely?
And it's anonymous, right? I mean,
So we're gonna stop the interview right there. Apparently, the reporter doesn't know her stuff. Bitcoin is somewhat anonymous. It's not completely anonymous. There are other coins for that. Eventually, it traces back to if you connect it to a bank account, there are ways you can find out who spent what and where. As what happened with Silk Road, which was the first use case that people gravitated towards because it was titillazing. How do you say it? Titillazing. Anyway, it was really interesting news at the time. But people are selling, 22 million pound mansions in London. They're selling houses in Australia. People are buying cars with Bitcoin. As I mentioned to you before, I have a Shift card. I can use my Bitcoin right now in stores all around the world. There are numerous websites, Overstock.com, travel websites. The list goes on and on. So the use case for it is here. Now it's just a matter of the adoption. Now we're in phase 2 of a 3-phase adoption theory. The first stage is all the nerds, people who just get involved because it's like, oh, this is nerd money. Let's play around with it. Like the guy who sold 2,000 Bitcoin. No, actually, I think it was something like 10,000 Bitcoin for 2 pizzas, right? Crazy. That's literally like $50 million or something like that right now. I'm surprised that the guy hasn't just offed himself because what a mistake. Okay. But who knew, right? Who knew? I had the inclination to put $1,000 into Bitcoin back in 2010 when I was finishing up grad school for systems engineering analysis, which is what I have a master's in. And rather than kick myself, I'm going to spread the word from here on forward. There are a few things you can do to make a fortune. I think Bitcoin is one of them. I'm hedging my bets there. And if you're interested and you want to learn more and how to get involved and what are the ways to get started, what are the ways to make sure you have secure wallets, both online and offline, I'm here to help. I'm happy to help. You can message me here in the comment section of this channel. You can also find me on Instagram at JaMarrJ, on Twitter at JaMarrJ. Just DM me. I'm fully accessible. Kind of committed my life to this idea that's backed by math, backed by a worldwide network of miners and people who have invested millions and millions and millions of dollars, billions of dollars at this point in Bitcoin. So join me if you're interested, and I'll show you how to get some Bitcoin, multiply it, invest in it, own some mining shares, just take part in this amazing, amazing transformation of the money system as we know it. So thanks for tuning in, guys. I am JaMarr.com. Deuces.